Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I was gonna get all fancy and do a whole setup and everything, but I just didn't feel like it. So I'm coming to you real as real can get, in all of its glory. And I wanted to talk to you guys about work. So as you may have heard, I started working again, and what day was it? Friday was my first day. I actually got hired on at the job September 9th, but the store, it was like, it's going to be a brand new store, so training and everything didn't start until a little later because the store had some holdups on, building behalves. So I started Friday, and I won't go into detail exactly where I was going to work, but I will let you guys know that it is like a fast food restaurant type of job, which would be the first time I've ever had to, I've ever worked at a restaurant. I'm sure many of you do not know, but I was very privileged on the behalf that I never had to work. I wanted to work. I've always wanted to work. I just like the idea of working and making my own money, but in my with my situation with my mom and my dad, it was never a necessity for me to have a job. So it wasn't like a thing where I had to push. Like, I know a lot of people, working is their only means of living, so they have to do it. But because I was privileged in the behalf of my parents, I didn't have to work. So up until I got pregnant with Joe, I never had a job. So my first job was, I started my first job in April of 2015. I found out I was pregnant in January with Joe. So in April of 2015, I started working in retail, which I told you guys I worked at Meijer. I was a cashier up until I went into labor at 38 weeks. So literally like the day before I went into labor was my last day at work. Then I took off 5 or 6 weeks. I think it might have been 5 weeks. Most likely 6. Then I went back to work at the same store, and I just worked weekends. I only worked Saturday and Sunday, 8 hours a day. And then it started to take a toll on me because I was still breastfeeding. Breastfeeding was my #1 goal. Like, nothing was going to come before me making sure I breastfed him up until a year old. And it was starting to, put a strain on that. So I decided to just step back, stay at home with him, because as I've mentioned before, he did not like bottles. He does not like bottles. So he only likes to nurse from the breast. So that is what made me stop working. And then all the way up until Friday, I've been home with him. I have been a stay-at-home mom all the way up until London. London was 3 when I started working at Meijer. So for the first 3 years of her life, I never left her. And then now Joe is 1 and I left him. So like I said, I was working in a restaurant. It was a lot different for me. It was a lot more than I expected it to be. So I no longer work there. Like, it's literally the shortest career ever. I worked Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then on Monday, it was a huge dilemma because I don't know if I ever mentioned that I have a car, along with Landon having his car. My car, the muffler or something, I don't know, fancy car words. Basically, to sum it all down, my car runs extremely loud and it is not reliable. Like, driving, I wouldn't want to be driving as far as I had to drive and then get halfway there and not, make it. So, because the job is a half an hour away from where I live. So, by that being that, I was driving my mom's car. Okay, so I have a car. I have a Ford Focus. And then Landon has a Chevy. Then my mom has a Toyota. Then her husband has a Suburban. And then he bought my mom a Cadillac. So, and then he has a Lincoln. So it's plenty of cars to drive. His Suburban actually went down. So it's in the shop getting fixed. They were driving the Toyota too. That's their work car. So I was driving the Cadillac. So on Monday morning, the Toyota was acting funny, so they needed to drive the Cadillac to work. Landon was off work, but he needed the car so he can be able to drop London off and pick London up from school. And by the job not having any set hours right now, we're basically going in at a set time, but you're getting off whenever they let you go, which was a hard thing for me because I told them off the bat, like, I have to be at my daughter's school by 2 o'clock because she gets out at 2:15. For every minute you're late at her school, they charge you $5. So it is not an option for me to ever be late picking her up because after 2:15, at 2:16, that's $5 added onto her tuition, which is already quite expensive. So I let them know that ahead of time. On Sunday when I was leaving, they let me know that although I told them ahead of time that I wanted to be strictly part-time and that is fine. The way that their part-time works is you would work 8-hour shifts, but you will only work 2 or 3 days a week, which would not be an issue if Landon off days were guaranteed. His off days are not guaranteed. Some days he'll get 2 off days. Some weeks he'll get 2 off days. Some weeks he'll only get 1. Some weeks it's on Monday and Tuesday. Then it can be on Tuesday and Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. You never really know until the schedule comes out. So I couldn't tell them ahead of time what days I could work. So off rep, I would have two days guaranteed. Don't know which days that somebody could pick London up, but one day would be a complete mystery on how she would get home from school because they told me that I would work from 8 to 4. 8 to 4, 4:30, or 5, depending on if the second shift comes in on time. So that just really wouldn't work for our family because, like I said, it would add a lot of money onto her tuition, like I said, which is already high. So we decided that that job just wouldn't fit our family. That does not mean that I will not be going back to work because, like I said, I do want to go back to work. I feel like it is very important for me to be able to help provide for our family, which although I know Landon does not have any problem with, and he can clearly do it on his own, and he doesn't mind doing it on his own, I don't want that. So I do plan on going back to work sometime soon. I think probably just back to retail where the job is not as demanding. Retail was a lot easier because you come in and you do your job and then you can go. With the restaurant that I was going to be working at, there was a lot of rules that you had to go by, and a lot of things were you don't go by your time, you go by the company's time. So if the clock stopped ticking at that store and the clock said 1:30 when in actuality it's 2:45 and you were supposed to get off 10 minutes to go, so what? You cannot leave until the clock inside that store says that it is 2:30 and that is your clock out time. You cannot leave. And even if the clock did say 2:30, if the store was backed up, like say the restaurant was backed up or really busy or jammed, you still had to stay. You are not allowed to leave until your manager says you can leave, which just would not work for me. So by me not being able to be the best team player I could be for that job, I decided I would not hold up them or waste any of their time or money along with my time. So I decided that I would just go back to job hunting and doing something else. I take for granted how much work goes into restaurant jobs. I go to restaurants all the time, and I never knew how much was behind working there. Like, I don't think I would ever work at a restaurant. Like, just off of the 3 days that I was there, I don't think I would ever go back to that type of job. Especially like a job that serves, like ice cream and different meals. Like, it's just not for me. So that is the update on my job and working and going from a stay-at-home mom to a working mom. It was very depressing for me because I'm so used to being with my kids all day long. Like with London, it was very hard for me to get used to her going to school, but I didn't mind because I had Joe and it allowed us to have that one-on-one time. And then I always looked forward to going to pick her up, me and Joe. And for the 3 days that I worked, it was very depressing not being with them. I was at work and then I noticed that every day I would leave, I would get very sick to my stomach, and I would always have, like, every single time I went to work, I had an extreme migraine. But the second I stepped in the door and I was back with my kids, it seemed like everything was like better. Like I always felt a lot better once I got the love and attention from my kids. So I don't know how well it's going to work. I truly want it to be a part-time job, and I hope one day God blesses me with the opportunity to be able to just work from home and be with my kids. I look for a lot of like online jobs, like where I can do like call centers or computer work from home. Hopefully one day I can figure out one of those jobs I could do, because it will be a lot easier and it will fit better with our family. So that is it for everything. I just wanted to let you guys know what was going on with me working, and so I decided why not make it a Vlogtober video since I am doing Vlogtober. So that is it for this one. I'll see you tomorrow in the next Vlogtober video. Bye.